paging Dr. Maiocco, paging Dr. Matt Maiocco, who covers the San Francisco 49ers for NBC Sports Bay Area. Good to see you, Matt. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Rich. How you doing?
Just listening to us argue about
No, stop it.
Like, what's going on?
No, let's get back to the matter at hand of the San Francisco 49ers. Is there a seance happening in Santa Clara? Did anybody want to get together and maybe clean the house like Poltergeist? You know, what do we got here, Matt? What do you think?
I don't know what to tell you, Rich, because that is like the topic and has been the topic for years, it seems like. You know, 49ers, if they aren't the most injured team in football, being so close to it, and the fan base certainly believes they are, and it's hard to argue. You know, I know there are injuries throughout the league. Football is a violent sport, and that injuries are part of it. It just seems like the 49ers year in, year out, by and large, have more than their fair share of injuries. And why that is, I don't know. I don't know that anybody really knows. It's not like they're all the same types of injuries. You know, some of them are freaks. Some of them are just, you know, soft tissue injuries. You know, you got broken bones. You have torn ACLs. It's just, you know, non-contact ACLs, contact ACLs. You're right. I mean, it kind of seems like they're cursed, but here they are, 3 games in with a 3-0 record.
Yeah, I know. If you took an MRI of the standings, it would come back clean.
It would.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then they'd probably go for a second opinion and it would show something else.
The second opinion of the longtime listeners, first-time callers, right? So let's jump into the positives and those who might be returning. Is Brock Purdy one of them for this weekend against Jacksonville, do you think, Matt?
I think so. Yeah, he practiced more on Wednesday than he did the previous week. It's been trending in a positive direction. No setbacks after that, I guess, mild turf toe, certainly not a Joe Burrow level of turf toe that he sustained in week 1. So he is able to get out there for some limited work last week. I don't think there was really much of a chance that he would play against Arizona, but things seem to be looking more positive this week. He practiced on Wednesday, and then today when they get out there in about 4 hours or so, probably have a little bit better idea, you know, how he's feeling after that. But if I were a betting man, I would think I would go with Brock Purdy getting his first start since week 1 this coming Sunday against Jacksonville.
And then what about Kittle? Where is he on the return? I know he's on the IR, which meant 4 games was definitely going to be it. Is it more than that? What are you hearing about him?
Yeah, so he would miss the Thursday night game a week from today against the Rams. That is off the table. And then I think once that happens, once he gets through that, then it becomes a week-to-week thing. So the following game would be 10 days later against Tampa Bay. So I think that's on the table, but that's going to be up in the air a little bit. And then, you know, Brandon Ayuk, he's still on IR. He's eligible to come off of IR after this game Sunday, but he certainly won't come back on an early week and probably looking a little bit more down the line. I'm sure they'll want to see him on the practice field for a week or 2 before they make that decision of when to bring him off of IR. So, you know, theoretically speaking, you know, once they get to around the mid-season mark, other than Nick Bosa, you know, the hope for the 49ers is that they get guys back and that offense will have to start carrying more of the load without one of their top defensive players out there.
Yeah, before we get to the Bosa and how to replace him. So you're basically saying this crucial stretch of short week visit to the Rams and then at Tampa, which, you know, potentially, you know, who knows, could be a battle of unbeatens. There's a lot of miles to go before we get to that one as a possibility. Those 2 back-to-back games might be Kittle-less and definitely Ayuk-less for the Niners, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's Kittle, and I would say I'd be very surprised if Kittle or Ayuk. Well, Kittle can't, but I don't think Ayuk won't be out there for that Thursday game against the Rams. You know, when you look at that schedule right there and you see those back-to-back games, Rams and Tampa Bay, those are difficult games, obviously, even if the 49ers were full. Even if they were the 49ers, you would expect them to be, in the offseason. This is their full team. So I think that puts so much more pressure and emphasis on this game against Jacksonville because, 49ers are playing that last place schedule. And so there's not a whole lot of daunting games on that schedule. But other than, playing at the Rams, who I'm sure now are the favorites to win the NFC West, and then at Tampa Bay, I mean, those are two of the more difficult games on the schedule on paper. So it really puts an added emphasis on taking care of business in the games that they need to win. And this game coming up week 4 against Jacksonville at Levi Stadium is a game that they can't let get away from them.
Matt Maiocco here on the Rich Eisen Show covering the San Francisco 49ers, NBC Sports Bay Area. What is the plan to replace the massive Defensive Player of the Year shoes of Nick Bosa, Matt?
Bullpen by committee. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have any other choice. They have 9 defensive linemen suited up on game days. Nobody's going to do what Nick Bosa does, but it's going to take a lot of different guys stepping up. Michael Williams, a rookie, 11 pick overall. Boy, he's played really well, but he's not like that pass rusher that Nick Bosa is. He's a really good run defender as a base defensive end, and then he slides inside and rushes the passer, but he's not going to pile up the big sack numbers of Bosa. And then you have Bryce Huff. 49ers went out and got him in a trade from the Eagles. That's looking now like a big deal because he's basically their top pass rusher right now on the team, and I don't even know who the number 2 guy would be. So, they're turning to guys like Bryce Huff and Sam Okawanu, Yetur Gross-Matos, Michael Williams. They're going to have to mix and match. And hey, this is why they gave Robert Saleh the big bucks. He's going to have to be more creative with the coverages on the back end, dialing up blitzes. Maybe you see Fred Warner do some more stuff, or D. Winters or Upton Stout coming out of the slot, blitzing at the nickelback position. So, there's no guy that they can just slide in there and say, okay, now you're Nick Bosa, go get the quarterback, and they just move on. It's going to take a lot of different guys stepping up their games.
I think you're breaking news, Matt. Fred Warner can do more? What?
Do you believe it? Yeah.
More stuff from Fred Warner. What does that look like? Like magic? Like what? Singing? I mean, doing a halftime act? Like, honestly, really?
Yeah, and what I'm saying there is maybe they put even a little bit more on his plate.
Sure.
As far as getting after the quarterback.
I got it.
Maybe getting a handful of sacks this season. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? He does everything else. Why not add that to his repertoire?
5 weeks from now is the trade deadline, so clearly this is way too early, but, screw it. I'm already hearing from Niner fans. I think Chris, who's not even one, was mentioning the other day, let's just say the Bengals fall apart. Trey Hendrickson might be, available. Maybe, Cam Jordan for the Saints, if he wants to say, hey, I want to go potentially ring chase before the end of my career. Is that something salary cap or draft capital wise the Niners can stomach, endeavor? What do you think, Matt?
I think they can do it, but it'll be difficult because I would suspect that once any team or teams, especially in the NFC, get a whiff of the 49ers' interest in Trey Hendrickson, then they're going to come strong too, and that asking price or what it would take as far as the compensation would only rise. So I don't think it's too feasible, but hey, back in 2023, the 49ers kind of came out of nowhere to acquire Chase Young at the trade deadline, and that was something that was seen as a big deal at the time. And Chase Young helped the 49ers, no doubt about it. A little bit up and down, but he had a really good Super Bowl. And could they do something again? They could. I don't know how feasible it is. I don't know how realistic it is, but John Lynch has always been very aggressive as far as going after guys. My guess, it would be probably somebody a little bit more under the radar, somebody who just wouldn't step in and be, the guy, but somebody who could just kind of lift the floor of what they expect from their edge rushers. That would be my thought.
So, obviously we hear what fans are saying and what fans keep, saying over and over again, especially Matt Maiocco. And all we've heard since Robert Saleh left the 49ers to take the Jets head coaching job, all we heard from Niners fans was just like, man, if we only could get Saleh back. And that's been the problem with our defense. Do you think the first 3 weeks of the season have given full credence, box check, on the fan sentiment on that regard, Matt?
And then some. Yeah, I mean, just think about the task that he had, coming back to the 49ers and incorporating all of the young guys. Because when he took that job, he knew, I mean, they were upfront with him. They knew that they were going to be parting ways with a lot of the veteran players. And, they in essence waived or released 3 of their starting defensive linemen to open the 2024 season: Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, and Leonard Floyd. And then they knew that there was a good chance that Dre Greenlaw wouldn't be back, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga. There are 6 guys right there who were key players on the 49ers defense, or at least envisioned to be key players on the 49ers defense in 2024. So they knew with a lot of draft picks, they were going to bring in a lot of fresh faces, and it was up to Robert Saleh and his staff to get those guys ready to play. And then the 2025 draft rolls around, and they were true to their words. 5 defensive players with their first 5 picks in that draft. And then you add another guy a little bit later, Marquise Siegel, who earned a starting job at safety from week 1. So the 49ers have so many young guys on that defense, and it's up to Saleh to get those guys up to speed, learn what they can and can't do, and fit the pieces together, while all the while probably having to be a lot more creative than he was during his first time with the 49ers, because they don't have that dominant pass rush, 4 guys across the defensive front who they just go get the quarterback and we'll play cover 3 on the back end. They're doing a lot more things defensively. Robert Saleh is definitely earning his keep.
And then lastly, the narrative in the national media, and you've heard it, I'm sure from your seat, is the place you want to be is the quarterback room of the San Francisco 49ers if you want to resurrect your career or get some momentum and learn there. I mean, obviously Sam Darnold is the latest example, or is the most recent example, until maybe Mac Jones going 2-0 to keep the Niners 3-0 without Kittle, without Ayuk, and everything going on around him. You have a front row seat here. What does Shanahan do? Like, what's the secret sauce, do you think, Matt?
He needs, you need to be a smart guy to play that position. All the answers are in the play call. So, there is a lot put on the plate of a quarterback, but, you don't see the quarterback going to the line of scrimmage and changing the play. And you don't see, too much chaos right before the snap. Based on the defense and the play call, all the answers are right there. And so it takes a guy who can process quickly. The main skill, I think, in a lot of ways is just from the shoulders up. And there was a reason that Kyle Shanahan liked Mac Jones leading up to the 2021 NFL draft. And they ended up going with Trey Lance, and, for injuries and a bunch of other reasons that didn't work out. So it was interesting that when he had the chance to get him, that's the guy that they went after. And now we saw in weeks 2 and 3 with those performances against New Orleans and Arizona, what it was that Shanahan saw in Mac Jones. I think it's a really good fit. Mac Jones doesn't have the physical talent of a Sam Darnold, but he shows that in this offense, he can be a pretty darn good quarterback and put up some good numbers and lead this team to victories.
And then I guess just Purdy comes back, holds on to the ball, defense balls out. It's a winnable game against Jacksonville at home, right?
Yeah.
I mean, could be 4-0 going into Thursday night in 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with this offense, it's always been prolific. They've always been, it seems like, a top 5 offense in the league. They're not that right now, but I think for this team to get to where they want to go, that offense does have to come around. And obviously, the offense will be a lot better when Kittle's out there and when Ayuk, if he's healthy, is out there. Demarcus Robinson is back after serving a suspension. And then once Purdy gets rolling and the run game gets going, the 49ers have always run the ball well. They haven't run the ball all that well through 3 games. So when McCaffrey gets going, and the thing in the locker room the guys are always talking about now the last week is that it's almost there. The running game is almost there. They're ready to pop one. So I think the 49ers are going to need the full Kyle Shanahan 49ers offensive experience in order to compensate for the loss of Bosa and just keep this thing going to the point where they can make a run for the NFC West title and for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we talked all about the injuries and the fact that we're not even talking about McCaffrey, and he's the one that put a scare in the whole world prior to week 1, just like last year, out of the blue. Wait a minute, you're limited with something going on with your legs? Like, wait a minute. And, I mean, he's been I know the running game hasn't been up to their standards, but in terms of yards from scrimmage, it looks like McCaffrey, man, Yeah,
the yards from scrimmage, touches. I mean, They certainly didn't say, hey, let's dial this thing back.
Right.
I mean, Brian Robinson, who they acquired from the Commanders right before the start of the regular season, maybe when he gets a little bit more ingrained in the offense, he'll get some touches, but also maybe don't hold your breath. I mean, it is so difficult for the 49ers to take Christian McCaffrey off the field. And here he is through 3 games. I mean, he has more yards receiving than he does rushing. And so, he's just the ultimate chess piece and a guy that can be used in a number of different ways. And the 49ers definitely do use him in a number of different ways.
Matt, thanks for the time. As always appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge and making us smarter. Appreciate it.
All right, Rich. Always my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Matt Maiocco of NBC Sports Bay Area here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.